What's good, people? I just want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Trilogy. Trilogy is an independent employees benefit consulting firm. They specialize in custom benefit solutions for employers and do not believe that one size fits all. They are passionate about helping employers create benefit packages that attract and retain top talent in their field. They believe education is key to employers and employees understanding and getting the most out of their employee benefits. You must check out Trilogy if this is a service that you need. Now let's jump into the episode. Welcome to the GuthrieAmerica podcast. We sit down with amazing people who do life in our community and people who once did, because we believe every story should be told. I'm your host, Heady Coleman, and today I am sitting down with Amanda Dake. Before we jump into this conversation with Amanda, would you please go ahead and subscribe to the podcast and leave a review? It would mean the world to us. Amanda, how are you doing?
Doing great.
Good. So let's just start by me asking you this. What's the one thing when you hear GuthrieAmerica that comes to your mind? What's the immediate thing that comes to mind for you?
Heady Coleman. You started it.
I started. Okay, let's say Guthrie, Oklahoma. What comes to mind? What comes to mind first?
Hometown.
Yeah.
It just, I was thinking about it on the way here, in fact, like how this kind of Guthrie movement that you started years ago, and now you've turned it into this, this broadcast, thinking of all the amazing people that just we grew up with, like in our own tiny bubble of Guthrie, which has been here since
the beginning of 1889,
or earlier even.
Yeah.
So think about just our little bubble and the cool people that we still are even in contact with now. I thought about it because as our world is changing so quickly, we were so fortunate to grow up in this little place of safety and security and community that, I wish my kids had it a little bit. They're not too far from here, but, it's a little more populated. Even here is different than whenever we were younger, but we were so fortunate to have such a cool community to grow up in, rich with history and great people, and I don't know, it was just awesome. So Guthrie, Oklahoma is home still, even though I don't live here, but I know I can always come back.
Well, again, you're just right down the road, and you still have family here.
Yeah, my dad's here.
So you still have those reasons to come back.
Yeah.
What's one thing that's coming back and forth over the years that you've seen change about Guthrie?
Well, it's developed a lot. Just with different kind of chain stores or restaurants even. We have a Starbucks now, which was unheard of.
Crazy.
I don't even know if we had a coffee shop other than Daylight Donuts when we were kids. So just the development and the population has changed quite a bit. But otherwise, there's still pockets of the quaintness and the quietness that we had, even just in the downtown area. That I like coming back to those memories.
It's amazing to me. Like, I guess when I grew up here, I didn't realize how much people, and I don't know if they did at that time, but how much people admire our downtown. And so it's always cool when I go downtown Guthrie to see people taking pictures, or people coming down for their senior pictures, or people coming for their wedding photos and all those things. I'm like, when I grew up here, I never thought that anything about going downtown and taking pictures or anything like that. I had one time, whenever I did GuthrieAmerica stuff, stories and stuff like that, downtown, I would always take a picture of people in the middle of the street. I have one of you.
Yeah.
And it was so cool. Like, people caught on to that, and people really appreciated that. And part of it was because of just the backdrop of downtown Guthrie. When you were in Guthrie growing up, getting ready to graduate, did you have that mindset of like, I'm getting out of Guthrie?
Not necessarily. It's so interesting. As being so independent now, back then, I didn't want to leave, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if you know this. I had 2 scholarship options to go play tennis
Oh,
out
no,
of
I did
state.
not know that.
Yeah, one was in San Antonio,
Uh-huh.
and one was in some little bitty place in Kansas. And I mean, I could have had my school paid for and played a sport, and I didn't want to leave my parents and my bubble,
Yeah.
right? So I stayed, but I didn't stay in town long. A friend of mine from high school, Sabrina Murphy Miller, she and I got an apartment when we were young, like 18. Like, we're ready. And then
Here in Guthrie, or like
we were in Oklahoma City.
in Oklahoma? Are
Yeah,
you serious?
big city. But I was back home within the year.
It didn't last long.
It didn't last long. And then from there, I stayed home for a while and then went over to OSU. So I was still close.
Yeah, no, that's not far at all. And I think as being a parent now, I kind of expect that come back home kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool that kids get to leave home. You know, there's a right in doing that, and so it's okay. But you get out there and you learn a little bit. You come back, and then you go back and do it again. And sometimes that takes more times than others for some. But no, I think it's great that people
It's a
get the
boomerang.
opportunity. Yeah, it is. It is. And the more you kind of do it, the more you learn. Like, okay, I know this time I'm gonna go back out
Yeah.
and do that.
Yeah.
But one of the things about a small town is that people do have that thought of like, hey, as soon as I graduate, I'm gonna leave. But then there's people who stay around forever. Like there's some people, I left and came back in 2007, but there's some people who've been here
The whole time.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't think they ever thought about leaving. Like, and so, and that's cool. Whenever you were in school here, like, what are some schools that stand out to you, and what was it about those schools?
Like here in Guthrie?
Yeah, schools in Guthrie. When you were growing up here.
Yeah. You know, I have memories of all of them.
Yeah.
And I didn't go to Banner, which was the kindergarten.
So was it because you just didn't go to
I
kindergarten?
wasn't here yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I got here. My dad coached football in Drumright.
Okay.
And so for that kindergarten 5-year-old year, I was in Drumright.
Okay.
And then moved here first grade.
Got you.
So Central was such a cool building. All of the buildings were so cool.
Yeah.
The junior high, I have great memories of that. You know, it was such a massive building and so old.
It was old then, and now it's still
I don't think we even had air
old.
conditioning in our classrooms whenever we were younger.
Which is crazy to think about now. Like, can you imagine not having AC right now?
No.
But I don't think it had AC either. Talking about the junior high, I had Eric Coleman on here recently, and we talked about that transition from Favor to the junior high. Was that a scary transition? Were you like scared to go from class to class? And
I was not ever that way, and I think it's because since my dad was a teacher at the high school, I had experience being in those halls as a kid.
Oh, got you.
And so having to change classes and things like that in the junior high with the 8th graders, you know, it didn't really bother me.
Okay. Yeah, I think I was a little nervous about changing classes, and
Yeah.
I think Eric was saying the same thing, and I'm sure some others too. What about junior high to high school? Like, did you have any pivotal moments in during that time of high school, junior high, that you can remember, like maybe kind of helped change direction in your life?
You know, I had the privilege of having the same kind of peer group throughout from first grade on. High school, it all started to kind of shift. You know, that's when you got more choices to choose different classes. You know, people are just growing up and changing, playing different sports, doing different activities, working jobs. So for me, high school was just a big transition all in general. But personally, like starting to play tennis, I started at sophomore year. And that changed pretty much everything. I mean, I became a competitive athlete, which sounds weird to even say that because I don't ever refer to myself as that. But then just thinking about, I had offers to play, you know, college tennis. And being able to have a great coach and mentor like Coach Crooks, he was just he was like a hard shell on the outside, but he's really a softie. And it was great to have the relationship with him in a capacity that was different than just being Coach Dake's daughter or just another kid at the school. I was, one of his athletes. And yeah, so that was pretty great. It was good. I did college too in high school.
Okay, you did the
concurrent, yeah. And so that, and I had a job. So towards the senior year time, I wasn't there that much,
Where did you work at in high school?
John Vance Motors.
Oh, did you really?
I did.
What were you doing at John Vance? Surely you weren't selling cars.
No. I was a receptionist at
Really?
the desk. Yeah. So back then there was only that one building. Now they're, a massive conglomeration all over the state, I think, and even out of state. But I would work maybe a couple times after school when we weren't playing tennis or whatever, and most Saturdays.
Okay.
And I remember that I could pick a car on the lot on Saturdays and drive into town and get lunch for the salesman.
Oh.
Like I'd go to the grocery store or whatever and pick up the sandwich things or something. But it was cool because I got to drive some of these really cool cars that some of them were used. I remember one of them was like this Cadillac convertible thing. Like, I don't know. It was pretty cool though. A Dodge, I don't know if it was a Viper. What was it called? Like a Dodge something. It was like
there was a Dodge Viper.
I
think they came out during that time, but that wasn't it.
No, it was something like it was a sports car that was a
I am
Dodge.
so not a car guy.
But
so.
no, I'm not either. But it was fun to be there, and it was different times then. Back in the '90s.
Now, to have the mindset, I did not have this mindset. You were doing concurrent, so you were already thinking about college, and you were working. Mm-hmm. What was that? Just out of sure, these are things that I want to do. Did your parents drive you to do those things?
It was all me.
It that made you want to do that?
I started working at 14.
Oh my goodness!
At the IGA.
Really?
I did.
Did you just love money? What was it? Like, what were you trying to get?
I think about this a lot. So my parents were both teachers,
Yeah.
and we had 3 kids. And if you think about back in the 80s and 90s, teachers, well, they still don't make that much, but they really didn't make much then.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be a reason that my parents would have financial difficulty or argue about money, or I didn't really feel like I wanted to ask them when I wanted things. So I decided at 14, I was just going to go do it myself. And I think that's probably, I should have realized back then, like that's kind of where the entrepreneur thing kind of started. Like, okay, I'm not going to wait around for anybody to tell me what to do. I'm just going to go and start figuring things out. So yeah, I was a checker and whatever general worker at IGA for a long time, maybe like a year or more. I worked at Pizza Hut for 8 hours. Once.
Wait.
I could. That's all I could do.
Pizza Hut
one
when
shift.
It was on division,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Down
one shift, and you were like, I'm
one
out.
shift. It was not for me. I worked at the country club with Brian Branch. He was the general manager, I think, at the club.
Okay.
And they had a dining room and a full kitchen, a chef and everything. And then they had the pro shop. So I would work out there in the dining area, like helping prepare food and then being a server.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was pretty fun.
So you, IGA, Country Club, Pizza Hut for 8 hours.
Yeah.
John Vance.
All
while in high school.
Yeah.
You had all these jobs while
starting
you were
at 14.
Now, were you like, okay, you quit Pizza Hut. You was like, that just was not for me. Did you, and so after Pizza Hut was John Vance? Or the Country Club?
Country Club, probably.
Were you doing 2 jobs?
No.
Okay.
I was probably doing John Vance and Country Club together.
Okay.
I can't really remember. And then I started working at Interurban in Edmond, over by the movie theater.
Out of high school or?
Still in high school, I think.
Over by Kickenberg or whatever? Yeah.
Just a hostess.
It's still there.
Yeah, it is.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if I did 2 jobs at once and school, but yeah, I was just so driven. It sounds like
you were all in. Yeah, it sounds like you were all in. And you were playing tennis.
And playing tennis.
Yeah, that's a lot and concurrent. very mature of you to even have the thought of like, hey, I don't want my parents to have to. If and who's to say that they would have had to, but you just had the foresight to like, no, like I don't want my parents to have to.
Yeah, I know that I was working at John Vance when I was 16 because I bought my car there myself.
Okay. You bought your car yourself.
Yeah, it was $5,000.
Oh my god! And you saved up for it?
No, my parents helped me get a loan, I believe.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, but it was my car. I paid for it. And it was.
Did you pay for your insurance too? Did you?
I don't think so. I don't remember that part.
Now we're about to leave Guthrie for a minute. You have children now.
I do have
right?
children.
And so we're just gonna jump into this.
I wish
real
that
quick.
they would buy their own cars.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Like, tell me what's.
I wish they would have lots of
You had
jobs.
so much ownership of your life at that age. What has it been like raising kids? Do you put that pressure on them
No.
to do the same thing, or you don't
It's
even?
really opposite, to be honest with you. So, Lyric, my oldest son, is about to go off to Arizona State University in just about 6 weeks. And I've been fortunate enough to put myself in a position that I'm, covering his tuition and everything. So, he does have a job, and it's basically just spending money for him, but he doesn't really have I don't know, I've just made it really easy for them. Maybe because I worked so hard, and my parents didn't ever pressure me to do any of the things.
Yeah.
They never even asked me to, and they probably didn't even understand why I was doing it. But,
But they didn't say stop though.
They didn't say stop. And I have a younger brother and sister, and they had jobs, I think. But we're just very different.
Mm-hmm. You and your siblings, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or you and your kids?
My kids and I are, I don't know, we have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Just as I was talking off camera with Lane, my younger one, he's very entrepreneurial.
Yeah, and driven.
Yeah, real driven. Lyric is more traditional as a student, like I was, because I still did the traditional, college university track. So, and that's what Lyric's doing. So we have a lot of things in common. But my brother and sister, we're not that far apart, but although we didn't choose the same paths throughout like our high school years and university and jobs and things like that, we're all three now entrepreneurs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
And tell us what do they do? They both graduated from Guthrie as well?
they both graduated from Guthrie as well.
So I need to have them on the show?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
can. Allison has her own
yes.
boutique bakery,
Yep. I
making
knew that.
high-end wedding cakes and desserts.
And she's been doing that how long now?
Gosh, at least 15 years.
I was about to say a good minute.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
At least
That's
15.
Cool.
And then my brother, Kyle, he has done a couple different things, but he started his own online fitness training program with somebody's help, mine. And then he.
So are you still getting are you getting a cut from this or what?
Yeah, I mean,
Did you charge your brother full price for
I
your
did
services?
not charge him money for it, no. But it took off, and it was just during COVID, so it was perfect for him to take that leap. And then he and his wife, my sister-in-law, who's really a sister, she's been around since I was probably, they were 14 or 15 when they got together.
Oh my god! So she's from Guthrie too.
She's from Edmond.
Oh, she's from Edmond. Okay.
Yeah, but they've been together. They were high school
I
sweethearts.
assumed. I just assumed.
I know.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But they own a restaurant downtown Oklahoma City. So
How long have they had that?
Well, Sabra has been in charge of it for, at least, I'll say 10 years.
I don't think I knew this. What's the name of it?
Deep Deuce Bar and Grill.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So they're working down there quite a bit, especially since after COVID, things changed in the marketplace and the climate of employees and service is completely different now. So they put a lot of time and effort into that restaurant, but it's a great spot.
That's so cool. So let's not talk about restaurants in GuthrieAmerica just yet, but let's go back to teachers or school. Name drop some teachers that you remember and maybe something you remember. You talked about Coach Crooks.
Yeah.
So any other teachers? You can go all the way back to, you missed Banner. You can go all the way back to Central if you want to. Any teachers that you can name drop and remember?
Oh, yeah, I have several. So one came to mind. She's been in top of my mind and in my heart for, the last 2 weeks. But she wrote happy birthday to me on Facebook. And I replied to her, and to this day, I can only call her Mrs. Tartar. Everybody else I know calls her Cheryl now. Like we're all grown ups.
We're all grown here.
We're
I'm not
pushing
calling you
50.
this.
We're pushing 50, right? And but she will always be Mrs. Tartar to me. And I believe that I started having her as a teacher in 6th or 7th grade as a music, vocal teacher, and I had her all through 6 years.
Yeah.
So she was very important to me, and still is. And I think whenever we were at Hoboken one time, we walked in and she was there, and so that was a neat surprise.
Yeah, her and Coach Charter, right?
Yeah,
I
they
think
are
were
both there.
Yeah.
So she's one that definitely stands out, just because I can't call her like her real name. Obviously, my dad, even though I never had him as a teacher.
I was about to say, did you even have your dad?
No, but I was.
Now, did you not have him? Because everybody had to have. He had. What is he? Was he physical science or biology?
He did both.
He's physical. Okay.
But I had Mr. Rice.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah, that was exciting. Who else really stands out? Mrs. Crooks. She was like an amazing geometry teacher.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know, we had projectors, right? And she wrote on this like Visa.
I always
like,
loved the
these
teachers that
things.
could write really well and use those things.
I just remember every day we'd come in her class and she'd be sitting at the front with this projector on and she'd be writing out all these theorems and things. And it's like, wow, she was really good at it.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Any elementary teachers?
Mrs. Kadavy. No, that was junior high.
That was junior high. Yeah. English.
She stands
Did we
out.
have English together?
Maybe.
I don't remember.
That was a long time ago.
That was long.
Mrs. Berryman.
Oh, Miss Berryman.
In the home ec in the basement. Yeah.
Yes.
She was. Oh, she was a really nice lady. She got a lot of flack from us young kids. She just handled it.
Now, did you ever get a SWAT?
Yes, once.
Did you really? By who?
Miss Calhoun.
Oh, I remember Miss Calhoun. Wow.
I don't even remember why.
You don't remember why?
No.
You got one SWAT and you don't remember why this person took the swatting to you?
I don't remember. No. And
You
that
did
was
something.
in the 80s. I didn't even know you were allowed to do that.
What, SWAT?
Mm-hmm. Well, I never had it before, so.
I think your dad was known to give out some.
He probably did.
Yeah, some major SWATs.
So elementary, Mrs. Gatewood. I remember her from Cotterell. And I still remember Mr. Hamilton. He was our music teacher in Cotterell, and we learned songs that spelling out like Guthrie or
Oklahoma.
Yeah, I remember doing a lot of that. So I don't know, I just had fun.
Yeah,
a lot of great people.
Yeah, no, and schools are just a big part of growing up, and it's always good to kind of reflect back on some of the teachers and different ones that stand out to you.
Yeah.
Now, we always go back to this downtown Guthrie. Let's go back to downtown. And when you were in school, name drop some places that you remember hanging out, or your cruising division. You got any good stories from your time of cruising division? Because they don't cruise anymore around
They
here.
don't?
No, my son be like, what? Cruise down? No, yeah.
We loved it. Gas was cheaper.
Gas was much cheaper.
And I had 5 jobs, so.
You had plenty of money to cruise at $1 a gallon.
Yeah. Funny story, my dad had this old Mustang, I don't know, he was like piecing it together, and it was super loud, like a hot rod. And I was 14 or 15 when I started driving that car, and I would cruise up and down.
Get out of here.
I would.
Really?
Yeah.
Your dad was cool.
I mean, yeah, they were all right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just knew him as a teacher, but I know he's letting his 14-year-old daughter cruise downtown Guthrie.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll watch this or listen?
No.
He won't? Okay.
If he did, though, it's all right.
Yeah.
I got pulled over once.
Nobody's going to go do anything to it. Yeah.
I got pulled over once.
Did you
in
really?
that car.
Do you remember who the cop was that pulled you
No,
over?
but I remember what I was doing. It was daytime, and I was going over to my friend Michelle Decker's house.
Okay.
And which was not that far from where I lived. And I
Give us some vicinity. Drop some streets.
Okay, so Sooner Road is where I grew up.
Uh-huh.
So out south of town.
Lake?
Near the lake, yeah. Michelle Decker lived on, I don't know what that road is. There's like an old school there on the corner. Is it Prairie Grove?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know where you're talking
Yeah,
about.
there's
Yeah.
a big house on this side, and then there's the school, like old school or something.
Yeah, no.
And then she lived down that road, so it was not that far.
Yeah.
And you know why I got pulled over?
No, I have no clue.
The tag was expired.
Oh, no. Not the tag expired.
And they
And back
came to
then,
my
it was a
window.
really big deal to have an expired tag.
Yeah.
Do they still pull people over for expired?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. But it wasn't my fault.
Whose fault was it?
It was my dad's because I don't buy tags. I'm not even supposed to be driving a car.
I was about to say, you weren't even supposed to be driving. So did your dad
for
know
my
about
license. Yeah, I think they had to call him, and I think he may have had to come get me. I don't
Oh,
remember.
wow.
I don't remember
Okay.
if they let me go or not.
Yeah,
But
they
I do
probably
remember getting
did.
pulled over.
this? They probably let you.
But yeah, we would drag as high school kids, like with licenses. We would drive through the little route of down Division,
Yep.
down Oklahoma,
Yep.
around the Temple. Will we go around the Temple, or we had to turn
Well,
around
you have
somewhere?
to go. Yeah. We'll say go around the temple. Somebody can tell us if we're wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if
Leave a
we just
comment
went through the little cul-de-sac of the temple or we went all the way
or something.
around the
no,
temple.
I think you're right. You probably went to the cul-de-sac of the temple. Yeah.
And then we'd come back down, go back down Division, circle through some Sonic, and then go all the way down and circle through the McDonald's.
Yep.
But along the way, remember, you have the Sonic hanger-outers, you have the Walmart parking lot hanger-outers, and then you have the McDonald's parking lot hanger-outers.
You did.
So, and then I'm sure there were a couple others.
You would make, well,
Yeah.
at some point, Taco Mayo became a hangout spot.
Yeah, that was one. And then Kevin Weir's dad's
Yes,
carpet place
that's what I was about to say.
across the street was
That
one.
was a hangout place as well. Was Pizza Hut a hangout?
No.
No. I don't
But that
remember
was kind of the thing. So you would drive around and see where you wanted to go and,
Yep,
hang out.
stop and hang
Yeah.
out. Now, was one of the parking lots that Division and Harrison? Was that parking lot? Did people hang out in that parking lot right there? No,
I don't remember
I'm
that.
dreaming. I'm making that up. Yeah, but yeah, no, that was the hangout.
Yeah.
Now, did you go to Daylight Donuts in the mornings before school? Were you
Not
that
a
kind
lot.
of person? Okay.
I wasn't really allowed to, leave school. Like, my parents, my mom and dad just didn't really want us to leave campus.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing
Yeah.
for us. But once in a while, yes, I would go in the mornings. And then after school, we'd walk down to the Victor Mall. And there was an ice cream and candy store in the basement.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what it was called
I
now,
don't
but
remember.
we'd go down there. And I remember I just felt so grown up because we were just walking from school to this shop. And what were we, 12 or
Yeah,
13?
yeah.
And so felt really independent to be able to do that. And I remember some of the guys, they would always they had these cinnamon toothpicks down there. And they loved those things. I don't know why. I never got them, but the boys always did.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, it was a big deal. Like they were toothpicks dipped in that hot cinnamon oil.
Yeah. Did they do it on the spot?
I don't know, but I remember they also would get the atomic fireballs.
Balls, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it
those
was
too.
like a macho thing to see who could have the most hot things.
your-
I don't know.
That's
We
the
would
reason.
just I remember they had all this assortment of gummies, all these different gummy things, and so that's what we would get.
I remember back then the prices seemed so high.
Really?
To
yeah.
me, some of that stuff would just seem to be so expensive. But now, when you go to Rick's or some of these, I'm like, oh my goodness,
Oh yeah.
it's it's for real. Especially chocolate. Chocolate is super
Yeah.
expensive. But
Well, we used to walk to, we call it the Mini Mart, right down from my house. And I know that we could take just some change
oh yeah,
and
come
get
out.
a whole paper bag full of candy.
Yeah, You
Jolly
can't do that
Ranchers
now.
and bubble gum and whatever.
Yeah.
And now, no.
No, you don't do it.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
none of that happens. Let's fast forward. Let's come to current life. We talked about you now live in Edmond. Talk about what you do now. You once were a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of talk to a little bit about that transition and kind of leaving out of GuthrieAmerica and what life's been like for you.
Well, I went to school to become a teacher. My dad, when I told him that I had finally just decided to do that, he said, haven't I taught you anything? He did not want me to do that. But, I moved to Tulsa after school, after college, and started working at Tulsa Union. and taught school, got my master's degree in higher ed administration, thinking that I hadn't had Lyric yet, but I was already thinking that whenever I have children, I will get a degree that I can work at the university where they'll go. And so we'll just be together everywhere, right? And their school would be paid for.
You're just going to make these transitions as they make transitions.
I got it in higher ed administration thinking I'd go be a dean of students or something like that. And then I started having my kids, and priorities changed dramatically for me with that. And after 12 years of teaching and coaching tennis, I decided that's just not what I wanted to do anymore. So in 2011, I resigned from that. Finished out my contract.
Were you still at Tulsa Union?
No, I was in Edmond at the time, and I was teaching at a private school. So from there, I had no plan. I didn't know what I was going to do. The education was all I'd ever known my whole life. Think about it. You go through elementary, all the schools, university, and then I was a teacher. So that was it. And my life was divided into semesters and summer breaks. So when I stopped teaching, all I knew is that I just needed to replace $500 a week because I was not making much, even with all the experience and the degrees and everything. So I just got busy and started doing some social media work for some local businesses. I was really good at Facebook, and Instagram was not there yet. Twitter had just started. So I started studying a lot and teaching myself things about digital marketing, which is really pretty new back in 2011, 2012, and just really fully immersed and just kept saying yes to things. So we get told a lot to guard your energy and don't say yes to all the stuff or whatever, but there are certain times where I think it's important for you to go ahead and start saying yes.
Yeah.
Now I'm at a really great point where I get to say no, and I can. But at that early part, I had to say yes because I didn't know what I was doing, first of all, and I didn't know what was next. So I just kept saying yes to things. And from there, that's where I was able to grow as an entrepreneur, find really great mentors, go to really great conferences, and just continue to learn and help people. And that's what it all boils down to. Whether I'm a teacher, whether I'm doing what I do now, which I do a lot of consulting for businesses, I do speaking engagements, different things, but it all boils down to wanting to help people and have as much of an impact as possible. And while I had an impact as a teacher in the classroom, now being kind of on this global scale, if you will, it's exponential. And the more people that I help, then that means that they're able to help more people, and it's just a big snowball.
Yeah.
So
give us an example of somebody that you may help today in the line of work that you do.
So I have a couple of different legs of how I help people. So I launched a software that is very affordable and has a lot of support and training for small businesses to be able to begin to market their businesses online without having to, take out loans or figure out how they're going to pay their bills and pay for their marketing, right? Mm-hmm. So I started that. So that's really for a person starting out, a small business that really knows that they want to ramp up and, start getting more traction. And that's, it's less than $100 a month. It's so affordable for almost anybody. But that's kind of like my passion project. But my favorite thing I do is really help 7- and 8-figure businesses just grow exponentially. So where I come in, I call it more of like a remote CMO. So I come in and just really get a big vision for their business, working with the CEO usually, and then taking control of their marketing campaigns and helping them grow. So one of the businesses I work with, we did almost $1 million on Black Friday last year.
Wow.
So that's what I really love, is helping those types of businesses get really dialed in with how they're spending their time and their money and their resources so they can, serve more people. Everyone that I help, they serve people in some way.
Yeah.
And so that's been really rewarding to go in and help out these larger companies.
So that's really cool. Love to hear that. I'm thinking about like going back to GuthrieAmerica Small Business. Maybe somebody's listening today that are listening to this episode. What's one right thing that you think, a tip or something like that you like, hey, if they did this consistently, it may make a difference in their business? Like, is there a free tip you can give us?
Well, I think you already said it just now. You said consistently. Whatever it is that you decide to do, you just have to go in with consistency.
Yeah.
So whether you decide you're going to go and try out TikTok for your business, you can't just go and make a couple videos and then go, it didn't really work.
Yeah.
You got to commit.
Yeah.
And you got to go in consistently and give yourself a good amount of time, 90 days to 6 months at least. I would commit to something to see if it takes off and if it's something you want to do. So whether it's a social media, not necessarily just TikTok, maybe it's LinkedIn for you or Facebook, whatever, you got to commit and do it with consistency. And that means every day. It doesn't mean like I'm going to post once a week or whatever. And then being able to build an email list is crucial for small businesses, because whether you have social media or not, you don't own that platform. And if you are familiar with Facebook or other social media platforms, you may know that they will kick you off for all kinds of reasons, and they do not care.
And they're always changing.
And it'll always change. And so if you can own your audience, own your traffic source, which is your emails, for your customer base and even prospects, that is really, really important.
Is there another one that, when you think about email, is there another one like that people may not think about, like something that you can on a website?
Yeah, you should definitely have some online presence. Yeah. Think about if you're out shopping for something, whether you're shopping for a place to go eat dinner or you're shopping for anything, you're going to Google it and you're going to judge and make a decision based on the online presence of that business. So that's why reviews are so important. Whether they're fake or whatever, we're going to go with the one that has the most 5 stars and, the highest number of reviews versus the one that has like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So being able to have that online presence just for the searchability is really, really important.
That's good. That's good. So you live in Edmond. I know you got a little country to you where you like to get away. Talk about your little place. Like, why do you get away? What does that look like for you?
So back in 2017, I met my almost husband, Roger, and he has a ranch in Pawnee, which I didn't know where that was.
Yeah.
Did you know where that was before I told you where it was?
Well, yes, because I ran for office.
Oh.
And they were in my district.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Pawnee. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's cool.
Before
I didn't know where it was.
Yeah.
Stillwater would be about as far that way that I had gone. But, especially when COVID happened, it became a retreat for us more than anything. That was a weird time when we didn't know what was going on and we didn't know how dangerous things were or whatever. So being out on our, 50-something acres away from most people and just doing our own thing, it was like the world was still, like nothing had really changed and we were just doing our own thing. And so it was really, really lovely. And now it's become more of a way of life for us now. We prefer to be out, in our little slice of the country than being in the city. And I'm lucky here in Edmond where I live, we have almost an acre also. So not like squished in with a lot of people, but we love it out there. We don't have a lot of animals or anything because we like to travel quite a bit.
You
but
gotta be able to take that.
We don't want to have to worry about all of that, but it is really nice to have. There's a lot of wildlife, so we don't really need our own. We can just watch out the back window.
That's awesome. Tell me, when you hear Choose Guthrie, what does that mean to you?
Oh, well, choose Guthrie. I think what it means to me is that if you have a choice to spend your money somewhere, then choose to spend it I think, especially if you live here, choose to spend it where you grow. So, if you're looking at somewhere to go eat dinner, choose a spot that's going to benefit your community rather than driving, far away and doing that. Whenever you choose Guthrie or whenever you choose your own hometown, whether it is Guthrie or not, you are contributing to that community rather than leaving and taking your money elsewhere. You're supporting the people that work there, and securing that they have jobs to then support their families, which, then they send their kids to the schools, and it's just how you keep the whole system running.
Yeah. That's so good, so good. Well, Amanda, thank you for your time and your willingness to let your story be told.
Thanks.
Through this conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for hitting that play button. Go subscribe to the YouTube or the podcast, your favorite podcast app. And remember, we want to have every story told. Will yours be next?